My name is Julie White, and I am from the Hoopa Valley Tribal Reservation, and I have stage 4 breast cancer. In the very beginning, when I was first diagnosed, I was scared, and my initial thought was, I'm dying, and I don't know when I'm going to die. Um, I I don't see it that way anymore. Um, again, because I've been given choices and options about the treatment I receive. Um, I've accepted the fact that I have cancer, and it's just a part of who I am now, and I don't let it get in the way of doing the things I want to do. I think one of the things that is important is that the clinics are often kind of far away, and maybe it's separate from the oncology that they're receiving, is that those two doctors communicate to each other. Because often one thing really is something to do with your cancer. And if they're not communicating to each other, there's a huge gap that this person is getting missed out on. So I would say, if there's a way that those clinic doctors can communicate with the oncologists or the outside medical doctors. Initially I went along with what the doctors wanted to do. I I didn't know anything, so I did what they wanted. And when I was done with the initial chemo treatments and I was put on a preventative chemo, and it didn't keep the cancer from coming back, is when I kind of learned to stand up for myself a little bit and say, we need to try something else. We need to do other things. It didn't change doctors, but I think my doctor listened to me. When I said, you walk into a medical office and the clients there are twice your age and older. I don't fit into the same mold they do, and I think they need to take a look at that, really provide treatment that's based on the person coming in and not what they normally do. I think, for me, I relied on my family, and I'm meeting some other people with that. They don't have that support. So it definitely is important to find somebody that you can lean on or talk to, or just, have come sit with you and watch TV, because sometimes that's all I wanted, was just somebody to be there. And you have to learn to speak up for yourself to your doctors and say, this is too much, this is too hard, what can we do? Because I know for me, my doctor listened to me, and we've adjusted things so that I can still go through chemo, but I still get to live my life the way I want to. One of the things that I did get to do is that I have family who are medicine women. And that was one of the things they said they wanted to do, was to have a healing ceremony for me. That healing ceremony that they did for me was probably the most powerful and most healing thing that I have ever experienced or had done. It was 2 of my cousins and my aunt who prayed over me, and and I was laying down, and they started praying, and when they were praying, I just kind of started crying, because there's so much emotion that you feel. But one of the experiences was that the room got crowded with people, and there wasn't people that you could see, but I could feel the people come into this room. I could hear them talking and laughing, and I knew they were my ancestors. They made me feel at ease being in there, and I had one of my aunts holding my hand. And during that time, my grandmother came in, who passed away when I was 17, and I could distinctly feel her touch on my hand. And when we all went home and we were talking about it, everybody said they felt somebody touch their shoulder. And my daughter said, I thought it was my cousin putting her arms around me. And when I looked, there was no hand there, but she felt that hand. And when we talked to everybody felt that hand on their shoulders. And I knew it was my grandma because she was sitting there holding my hand the whole time. Even though I know it was my aunt, I could feel my aunt's touch, but there was a totally different touch that was on my hand. And it was my grandma. I see all this in my mind, yet my eyes were closed during this whole ceremony, but it's not that I could see them as much as I could feel them and their presence. And it was just like, and so when my family, I could hear them stop praying, is when they started to leave the room, and I didn't want them to leave because it was just so comforting to have that there. When my family was done praying and the people left the room, there was so much weight lifted off of me. I felt like a different person. And so if people have access to the native healings, the native praying, try to do that because it's so powerful, more than I think anybody really knows until they experience it.